Comdey Guy here, and today we're going to be talking about video games. What kind of video games, you might ask? Cartoon-related video games for the Sega Genesis. Now, some people would argue that cartoon-related video games are some of the best ones there is. Take, for example, Bucky O'Hare on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Fantastic game for a less than memorable cartoon. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about some of the cartoon-related video games for the Sega Genesis, whether it be the good or the bad. And to start off, we're going to take a look at one that's a bit, and that is the Jungle Book for the Sega Genesis, which was produced by Irwin. Now, the problem with the Jungle Book was, well, in my opinion, it seemed that the background sort of got mixed in with the foreground. Meaning, you didn't know if the thing that was in front of you was going to attack you or if it was just part of the background. And that can be a serious issue in a video game. Another thing is, it seemed like everything sort of floated when it moved. Take, for example, when Mowgli jumps in the game. You play through the game as Mowgli. Whenever Mowgli jumps, he just seems to float there, just a very prolonged jump, and that can actually mess up your timing as well. Perfect example. Whenever you start up the game, there is a little hog type thing that runs back and forth. Well, okay, you have to time Mowgli just right, because he's so slow when he jumps that I've noticed, it's ridiculous that you have to do this, but you actually have to jump while it looks like you're about to hit the pig in order to dodge it. And by that, I mean that the pig will be running towards you, right? Well, then that's when you need to jump, because by the time you finally get over there, the sucker's going to be on the other side of the screen. So, basically, it's just sort of a victim of being a floaty game, to quote John Jafari. Another game that we're going to look at for the Sega Genesis, also Disney, Donald Duck's Quackshot. Now, I've heard a lot of mixed talk about this game, but I personally enjoy it. In Quackshot, it's sort of an Indiana Jones-esque type adventure, where you play as Donald Duck, and you're just trying to, from what I can gather, find some sort of treasure. You start out the game with one weapon, that being a gun that can shoot toilet plungers. And, so I should already point out that you can't kill any enemies in this game, truly. All you can do is temporarily stun them, which can be a bit of a drawback, but I'll get to that in a second. So you shoot your enemy with the little dart gun, and then they're dead. Well, not dead, but stunned. So they'll sit there and shake for a little while, and you better hurry up, because you don't have long to get away from them. Besides the fact of not being able to kill your enemy, the game's pretty fun. It's also one of those games where it's like, well, I can't get here now, I guess I'm going to have to progress farther in the game and then come back. It's also one of those. Sort of Final Fantasy-esque, if you will. And I think it works pretty well. It's not floaty, as the Jungle Book was, and it's also a lot of fun to play. It's a relatively short game, really, and I also like that it gives you the option to leave a level. If you don't like the level you're on, just leave it. But of course, that sort of isn't really needed, seeing as how it's a game where you have to have skills from one place in order to do things in another. But in total, I would say that Donald Duck's Quackshot is a pretty decent game for the Sega Genesis. Continuing in our list of Disney-related games for the Genesis, we look at Goofy's Hysterical History Tour. Now, this just left a bad taste in my mouth. This game is essentially just a platformer with Goofy, and half the time I had no clue what was going on. You see, you start the game with this little glove type thing, and it's attached to a spring. Now, this glove is utterly useless from what I can find. It can kill enemies, but you have to hit them about 5 billion times. You can either do that, or if memory serves, you can also bounce on their head. There's also this really confusing system of balloons. I'm not sure if the balloons give you points, or if they're supposed to deduct something from you, because it seems like Goofy begins to flash the minute that you hit them as if he's taking damage. And just in total, it's a really odd game, and I'm not necessarily saying it's bad, but it's really not a personal favorite. That's all I really have to say about that one. And now, the first stinker of this, Scooby-Doo Mystery. Sorry, Scoob. A Scooby-Doo Mystery is one of the things I dread more than anything in a game. A point-and-click adventure, essentially. You just walk through the rooms of Shaggy and Scooby, and you find clues. And you know, it's one of those things where, like, you press a button, it's like, investigate, talk to. It's one of those aggravating things. And essentially, the game's basically, it just gets boring within the first 10 minutes. Because it's just so tedious to go through every room of the house trying to find something that you can help you. And then once you like, let's say that you have all the information you need to solve the mystery. Whenever it comes time to do so, if you haven't found a few key clues that are required by the game in order to, you know, solve the mystery, it'll tell you you're wrong, even though you are right. To go further in depth, let's say that there was a clue that you didn't notice that's under a hat, maybe. But you have enough clues to say that, well, I don't know, the butcher did it. Then they're still going to tell you you're wrong. Because you haven't gone through, and it's just really poor ideas for a game. Now here's one that's once again on my list. Taz Escape from Mars. Now, Taz Escape from Mars is actually a lot of fun. You can spin upside down on walls. You can bounce up the walls. You eat stuff. You break stuff. Exactly what you would want from a Tasmanian Devil game. The only key issue with the game is, well, it gets really hard really quickly. You see, in the game, Taz is traveling to different planets, attempting to get back to Earth. And once you get to the second planet, it's like infested by moles and stuff, right? And there's this giant drill coming towards you. And while it's coming towards you, you gotta be lightning fast, because you get hit once by this thing, you're gone, folks. I mean, hits you once, but it has so many interesting things to it. Like, there's segments where you dig through the ground. There's segments where you can, like I said, you can bounce off the walls. You can spin upside down. You break through stuff. It's just, it's really interesting. But it just gets so hard so quickly. And it's got these really interesting little power-ups. Like, you can spit rocks and stuff. And you can make Taz super big or super tiny. And, yeah, it's really, really interesting. The next game, which is my personal favorite out of the bunch, Garfield Caught in the Act. Now, this is also a game that's been known to be considered a bit difficult over the years, but it's fantastic. It really, really is. So the story is Garfield and Odie were watching the TV, and then the TV breaks. And so Garfield tries to put the TV back together, and when he does, a giant, like, grasshopper-looking thing made out of the TV parts, I believe his name is Glitch, sucks Garfield into the TV, and then he starts going through different, I would assume you'd say that they were like TV shows. For example, the first one is Count Slobulus Castle, which is essentially a Dracula-related one, and then Revenge of Orangebeard, you know, pirate-esque type thing. And then Casablanca, I love that one, not only for the name, but because it's all in black and white and sepia tone and stuff, and it's such an interesting game. And also, every enemy is just a different version of Odie. Like, you'll have a vampire Odie, or you'll have, no, I take that back, actually. The second level does not have an Odie boss, but most of them do. And it's such an interesting game, but, you know, it's one of those games where you have to be really good at it, or you're going to be lost. Like, you're not going to be good your first time through. That's just the way it is. Because, for example, in the first level, there's hands that jump up and grab you and stuff. So you gotta really know where stuff is. But all in all, fantastic game. One of my favorite titles for the Genesis. And then this fucking okay, this game, it's not really a cartoon, but I felt that it'd be pretty interesting to include this. It's called McDonald's Treasure Island Adventure. And you would think that it'd suck just from the name of it, but believe it or not, it's a decent platformer. um, so you play as Ronald McDonald, and you're looking for pieces of a treasure map. And your only attack is you do this, and sparkles fly out of your hand, right? And you kill all different kinds of weird enemies, like these weird half Furby, half Chicken McNugget looking things. You walk past a mirror and like little midget clowns run out behind you. It's such a hilarious game. It's kind of like being on a fever dream right after you did a bunch of acid. That's the easiest way to explain this game. And I won't dare spoil the ending for you because it's so hilarious. All I'm going to tell you is somehow or another the treasure map is actually a whole nother planet, so they build a rocket ship to go get the treasure. I won't dare tell you how it really ends because if you're anything like me, you'll die laughing. You really will. Well, guys, this has been me reviewing some good and bad cartoon character related games for the Sega Genesis. Next, I believe that I'll do the Nintendo 64. Or possibly the Nintendo GameCube. But then again, I might do the Nintendo. You never know with me. Not because I like to be random as much as I can't make up my mind. But until next time, this is the Nerdy Comedy Guy signing off. Peace.